Welcome. On this channel, I review watches from my personal collection as well as perform score-based analysis of watch types. Today's live stream is a best of. This is the 6th and final video in the GADA Go Anywhere, Do Anything watch series. Today I'll tell you about the top 10 GADA watches on the market, 5 runners-up, and some bonus categories as well. You know, integrated bracelet, really excellent Lume, those kinds of things. If you're short on time, you can skip to the top 10 using the timestamp in the description. And my screen here says 374 watches. And actually, after I did the omissions, it's 398. But yeah, let's go ahead and dive in. All right, so the timeline of all the video releases, we're at the end here. We're at the last one with the live stream. I had all these other ones before. All right, and now I'm going to cover all the watches in the final runoff. And here are all the watches, the top 5 watches from all the different price categories. There were a couple of swap outs after that omissions video. This Casio LCW that replaced one of the top 5 affordable watches. And then the Hanhart Preventer 12 replaced the Wolf Creek in the premium price category. But here are all the watches that were the top 5s. And then in addition to those, for the runoff, 30 more wild cards. And I'll show you these individually so you can see. But yeah, here are all the 50 contenders for the final runoff. And of course, here are the alternate straps, because for GADA watch, you want to be able to change out that strap and have something a little different. All right, so now I'm just going to show you, I'm just going to list all the ones that made it to the final runoff. So this was the affordable category. We had the Citizen Garrison BM 8560, Casio LCW, the RZE UTD 8000, the HC watches HC01, and the Ver S5 Tradition. In the quality category, we had Citizen ProMaster Tough, Sangen Kingmaker, that's a nice one, Halios Universa, SWC Tumbler, and the Traska Summiteer. The premium price range, the top 5 were the Archimede Outdoor, Ball Engineer 3 Ohio Chronometer, the Zinn 556A, Christopher Ward C65 Sandhurst, the Hanhart Preventer HD12. Like I said, that was an omission originally. In the luxury category, we have the Ball Engineer 3 Pioneer 2, Longines Spirit Bracelet, Patek Philippe Aquanaut, Omega Seamaster Railmaster 2025 edition, and the Tudor Ranger. And now there's a whole bunch of wild cards. Christopher Ward C63 Sealander, Citizen Weekender, Omega Seamaster Aquaterra, Frederic Constant High Life, Rolex Explorer. And I chose these watches just trying to anticipate what would do well in the final runoff. There's no strict methodology to it. I just kind of chose the ones that looked good. I've also got the Hermes H08 Notice Sector 2, Tudor Black Bay 136, Jack Mason Canton, Monta Triumph, Ball Engineer 3 00 Red, San Martin Explorer watch, Longines Conquest 38, Seiko SPV 155J, and the Nomos Club Sport Neomatic. So those are some of the wild cards. Chronos EX Mechanical. I figured the Explorer is so good, maybe an homage would do all right in the runoff. We'll see. Hamilton Murph, RZE Valor 38, Marie Lacroix Acom Date. Of course, the Rolex Explorer 2. Wanted to give that a chance as for best GADA watch. We'll see how it does. Echo Nutra Avro 39, Erebus Ascent, Circular Facet, Bulgari Octo Roma, and the Revelo Terra. Some really cool watches. Any of the watches that made it to the runoff are good GADA watches. All of them are. We've got the Citizen Zenshin, Dryden Heartlander, Bremen Terra Nova, Tissot PRX Powermatic 80, the Rolex Datejust. All right, so those were all the wild cards. Basically, what I'm going to do in the upcoming slides is, what I did is I took all the scores from that original scoring system. I just took it down to 70%, so I just took 30% off the score. And then I'm going to add points back on in these different subjective factors. Because when you just look at specs on the page, some watches seem really great, but then you're like, it's really ugly. It's really hard to come up with a scoring system that would identify what are the best GADA watches. So round 1 will be wedding vibe. Round 2 will be hiking vibe, like what is best to take on a hike. Round 3 is timelessness. Round 4 is brand strength. Round 5 is affordability. And if you take these absolute values, affordability is a penalty. Take the absolute values, it amounts to 60 additional points. Going to be added on, basically. Oh, okay. It's time for musical interlude. Duérmete, niño bonito. La 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 la. All right, so if I just took the scores and nothing else, here's how they would have ranked. It's just the scores they have from that original scoring system. These would be the top 10. The Ball, Engineer 3, Pioneer 2, down through the Seng and Kingmaker. That's just how it would be. Now, throughout this video, we're going to keep an eye on the Rolex Datejust. It's in 43rd place score-wise, so it has a slim chance of making it, but it'll be interesting to see the ups and downs, see where that ends up. All right, so the first round is Wedding Vibe. And basically, well, I've got these words up here. Classy, refined, eye-catching, sophisticated. So those were kind of the words I was thinking about. I mean, really the easiest way to think about this was like, if I'm going to a wedding, which one do I grab? And if these are all on the table, I could wear any one. I think the Rolex Datejust is the best. And that's how I did this. I think the RZE UTD down at the bottom here, that's the worst. So I just go left to right all the way down. And yeah, that's not my fave. These ones on the top row are excellent. Even the Rolex Explorer is looking pretty good for a wedding. I think that would work pretty well. Be pretty darn appropriate. PRX, same deal, you know. All right, so how did it shake out? I will show you. Eliminations after Wedding Vibe. The Citizen Garrison went down 26 places, so it's now in 28th place. It was in 2nd place, so that was a pretty precipitous fall for that one. Longines Spirit, not as bad. This other Citizen, same deal. They're really not great for the wedding. Yeah, those are kind of at the bottom. They're not ideal for taking to a wedding. Those are the eliminations. And then here's the standings after Wedding Vibe. Here's the new top 10. Mega Seamaster Aquaterra jumped up 7 spots. And I just show you the arrows if it's a move of 4 places or more. Rolex Datejust, bam, went up 30 places. I mean, that makes sense because it was the top rated one. There's 50 watches and this is, you know, in the top spot. So 50 divided by 50 times 15. So it got 15-point bonus just for being the top place. And then that's just how it works. It's in Excel. I didn't have to do that for all of them or anything, but here's the new top 10 after the Wedding Vibe. Looking pretty good. All right, what's next? Round 2 is going to be Hiking Vibe. And I show them on an alternate strap because the idea is you can swap it out. You have a fancy bracelet watch if you're going on a hike. Probably want to put it on some canvas or NATO or some kind of pass-through or parachute elastic. So that's why they're displayed this way. It's the same deal as before, just ranked them top to bottom. Not as big of a bonus for hike vibe, but yeah, they should look utilitarian, have an outdoor feel, and then casual was another thing. Casual kind of gets it a little bonus too, because, you know, it's less formal. But anyway, the RZE Valor 38, that was the top hiking watch in my opinion. And the Citizens do really well for hiking. I think they're great for that purpose, and so on and so forth. Rolex Explorer actually kind of does well at both. I think it's wedding and hiking. You know, it's not top of the pack in either one. It's not going to be on either extreme. But the idea of GADA is like, it's a compromise. It should work well in multiple circumstances. So these ones that like this one, it was super high on this one, super low on the other, it doesn't end up as well as ones that are above average in both. So if they're above average in both of these things, they're going to rise up to the top. And that's what we'll see. So eliminations after round 2. The Zenshin is out. It's kind of a fancy watch. You actually can't even change that strap. There's no way to do that. Tudor Black Bay 1 is out as well. 14 places down. Not best for a hike. What did I put it on? I put it on a parachute strap here, the gray. Yeah, it's not really looking like a hiking watch. Okay, let's go to round 3. Oh, sorry, no, let me show you the top 10. Rolex is actually in the top 10 now. It was in 5th place, now it's in 4th place. Rocketed up there. It wasn't even in the top 10 originally, just based on score. But subjective factors are really important. It really has a lot to do with a watch and how suitable it is for a particular purpose. Datejust is way down after Hike Vibe. Yeah, a lot of things came in because we lost 5 watches. In these early rounds, you know, there's a lot of dramatic changes because I shrink them down to 70%. That reduction isn't allocated across each round. I just did it at the beginning and then added points on top. I might consider in the future allocating that reduction in points a little bit over each round so that you get a truer picture of how things are going to end up in the end. But anyway, here's the top 10 now. Got a lot of ins and outs, the way I did it in the early rounds. Archimede is in there. Again, Longines is up here. All right, let's take a look. Round 3, timelessness. Let me read some of this stuff. Clean lines, clarity, non-ornate, balanced, heritage, continuous relevance, classicism, adaptability. These are kind of descriptors for timelessness. And then things to avoid. Let me hide my face. Fads. You want to avoid fads, like bright colors, aggressive textures, being overly retro, or ultra minimalism, flagrant imitation. Things that are enduring are craftsmanship, neutral colors, simple markings, iconic silhouettes. So that's a lot of stuff. That's really a lot of stuff to try to put together to what timelessness is. Anyway, I tried to rank them the best I could. What are the most timeless designs here? And I put Nomos in first place. I actually think it's very, very clean. I think it has continuous relevance. It's got classicism. It's adaptable. It's not ornate. It's balanced. I mean, I know there's a date window, but I still think it's a balanced watch. The hands and everything, the numerals, it's very clean. So that's how I set these up. The flagrant imitation, that's a penalty. That's why the Chronos is all the way down here. That's not really what you want with the GADA watch. Who's eliminated after timelessness? Ball Engineer 3, Pioneer 2 is eliminated. Well, I mean, it still has a chance. It's just out of the top 10 for this round. Sengen Kingmaker also out. Archimede Outdoor also out. Standings after round 3. Here's the top 10. Not as many moves. Traska Summiteer is now joining the party. The watch on my wrist is now in the top 10 in 6th place. Tudor Black Bay 1 is back in the top 10. And Frederic Constant is here. Rolex Datejust is right below the top 10. Nipping at the heels of these other ones. Pretty darn nice after that timelessness. All right, let's go to round 4, brand strength. So I just ranked these according to watchcharts.com. If you go on watchcharts.com, they have popularity of brands, and Rolex is at the top of the ones on the screen. And I think watchcharts.com, it stops somewhere around probably Marie Lacroix or maybe Hanhart. And everything below that, I just use my own personal judgment about the brand strength. They're pretty close together, and this is a small bonus, but it definitely helps the ones that have really high brand strength. There is a Casio in here, so Casio gets a huge bonus being up there. Casio has really high brand strength. Seiko has huge brand strength. So yeah, Rolex Omega Seiko. Seiko's up there, above Tudor, above Patek. Citizen has also got really high brand strength, so that helps them out. Okay, who's eliminated? Yeah, micro brands don't do as well. Don't have as high brand strength. Hanhart is out. Frederic Constant, it's only down 1 place. So it still has a chance. It's in 11th place. And I guess these other ones have a chance too. Standings after round 4. The Rolex Datejust is no longer just on the sidelines. It's actually in the lineup here. It's in the top 10 in 6th place. That Rolex brand heritage pushed it right on up in here. Longines Conquest has also joined the top 10. So that's where it stands after round 4. And there's only 1 round left, and then we'll have the top 10. And this round is affordability, a 12-point penalty. It's designed to really level the playing field. Similar to how a GADA watch is balanced between wedding and hiking. You know, it's a balance between utilitarian and semi-formal. Same is true when you're making watch choices. You don't want it to be too expensive, but you want it to have good brand heritage. If something's really expensive, but it doesn't even have that much great brand strength, that's really going to hurt it. So affordability. The way I did this is I allocated the 12 points in fifths over the price ranges. There's 4 price ranges, and so each one gets a fifth, and then the luxury price range actually gets 2/5 of the penalty. But okay, what's 12 divided by 5? It is 2.4. So basically, each price range has like a 2.4 penalty based on where it is in there. So let's take the HC watch, $230. That the whole range of prices in the affordable price range, I think that's what it was, $0 to $375. So you divide its MSRP by 375, multiply it by 2.4. So the penalty comes out to 1.47. The Zin 556A, I don't think I'm going to explain this exact thing, but it's there if you want it. I'm happy to explain it, but I think that's a little tedious. Anyway, the penalty is minus 6.23. And in my scoring, it goes out decimals as far as you want. So all this makes a difference. I think we're ready for the top 10. Let me see here. Is there a musical interlude? Yes, there's a musical interlude. All right, I'm gonna give my best crack at this one. That's a tough, really tough song. I should have chosen something easier. All right, let me make sure I don't reveal anything. I'll get it set up. In 10th place is the Longines Conquest 38. 38 millimeters, 10.9 thick, great thickness, $2,200. So I was getting a pretty big affordability penalty, -7. Had great wedding vibe, not so great for the hike vibe. Let's take a look at that alternate strap. I suppose if you get the green version, you could maybe use it for hiking. It's still, it's a fancy watch. I mean, it's like everyday and fancy. I think it's a good GADA watch. These are all good GADA watches. High brand strength. Yeah, score of 86. Moving on to number 9. In 9th place is the Tudor Black Bay 136. 36 millimeters, and it's 10.4 thick, $4,175. And I explained in that last video, I chose the 36 because it's thinner and also less size. So it's less weight and it's thinner. So it actually scored slightly better than the 39. Obviously, whatever works for you is the best. Great wedding vibe, horrible hike vibe, very timeless, and really high brand strength. And then a huge penalty for affordability. Somehow it all ends up here. It's just based on the competition. But, you put it on a parachute elastic strap, I guess you can dress it down. That was number 9. Let's go to number 8. 8th place is the Tudor Ranger. It's 39 millimeters, 12 thick, $3,475. It's a luxury watch. There's a lot of luxury watches here so far. Okay wedding vibe, okay, actually great hike vibe. And I think this is pretty darn timeless. I love the spear hour hand. That looks really good. Yeah, let's look at the hiking one. You can actually buy it on this strap. I suggest getting the bracelet, but you can get it on this. They actually make it that way. And then big affordability penalty. So that was number 8. Let's go to number 7. 7th place is the Seiko SPV 155J. It's a 38 millimeter. It's very thick though, 12.9. That's getting up there. $737. Yeah, the Seiko movements are thicker. It's just a reality. I think it's great for hiking. It's pretty darn good for wedding too. I'm really pleased to see this here because I've always thought this is a good GADA option. You can totally dress it down for the field or whatever you want to do outdoors. It's still a little fancy with the gold, but I think you can make it work. It has that casual nature about it. Really nice to have the color match date. Score of 88. All right, 6th place is a Longines Spirit. 40 millimeters, 12.2 thick, $3,250. And this one's titanium. They do make them in steel as well. I think the titanium is probably the way to go. It's going to be a lot more comfortable. It's not going to be as shiny and pretty as the steel, but it will feel a lot better on the wrist due to the lower weight. Let's take a look. Yeah, you put it on a pass-through, this parachute elastic strap, it's going to be great for the field. That totally makes sense. I still think it looks pretty good for wedding. I mean, compared to the competition, there's much better watches to wear to your wedding than the Longines Spirit. This is kind of more on the utilitarian side, but still belongs in the party. 5th place, the watch that I'm wearing, the Traska Summiteer 38. 38 millimeters, 10.5 thick. I think it looks good for the wedding, pretty darn good, and I think it's great for hiking too. I mean, it's very similar to the Rolex Explorer, which also I thought was good for both of those things. I think it's a timeless design. It's very simple, it's very clean, very versatile. Brand strength, it's a micro brand, so not very high on the list. But it is very affordable, and that is a factor to consider. And that's the only reason I can get this one. I could pick it up. It has to be kind of affordable. If you're thinking you're going to use it more for hiking, maybe you get the green version. They also have red and blue. I went with the black. That is the most versatile. All right, what's in number 4? 4th place is the Omega Seamaster Aquaterra. 41 millimeters across, 13.2 thick, $6,600. That's expensive, but it's an icon for a reason. Really beautiful watch. If you want to wear it outdoors more, maybe you could get the olive color and put it on a pass-through. But I think it shines more as like a wedding sort of a thing, or just you wear it to the office, you wear it around town. It's just go anywhere, do anything. Great watch. All right, what's in third place? In the bronze is the Nomos Club Sport Neomatic Date 781. 42 millimeters across, 10.2 thick, $4,280. Yeah, this one's very thin, 10.2. Is that the thinnest? Let me go up. Okay, yeah, the other ones, none of these are that small. On an alternate strap, I think it looks pretty darn good, especially the black version. I think that's a viable option for the field. Okay, let's go to number 2. In second place, the Ball Engineer 3 Ohio Chronometer. 40 millimeters across, 12.5 thick due to the tritium tubes. $2,249. It's a chronometer, you have a Faraday cage. Yeah, you get a lot out of this watch. The screw down crown, of course. Really beautiful bracelet. I love their H-Link bracelets. They're very classy looking. Very high wedding vibe. And hiking actually wasn't that high on the list for hiking, but you can use it for that purpose, in my opinion. You know, just compared to the other Runoff watches, it didn't get that high for that. Very timeless design. Classy Dauphine hands and the applied indexes. All right, let's look at the alternate strap. Especially if you get the black version, I think it looks really nice on this tan nylon strap. Okay, let's look at the number 1. What's in the number 1? What do I think is the best GADA watch? It's the Rolex Explorer. Of course it is. 36 millimeter, 11.5 thick. Very expensive though, and this is the cheapest watch Rolex sells. Or maybe it's the OP, but anyway, it's one of the more expensive ones, $7,350. And yeah, high wedding vibe, high hiking vibe, very timeless design, brand strength as high as you get. Really only the downside is the affordability. That's really the only problem with the watch, is that it's really darn expensive. Let's look at the alternate strap option. It looks great in the field. It's gonna work fine for that. You know, they wore it to Everest and everything, so that makes a lot of sense. All right. Yeah, those are the top 10. Here are your top 5, and then here are the bottom, number 6 through 10. Now I'll go to the 5 runners up. We'll do the 5 runners up. First runner up is the Frederic Constant High Life. Just shy of the top 10. It's 39 millimeters, 10.4 thick, $2,316. Alternate strap is not going to be that exciting. You're going to be limited in your options. You have to get them from Frederic Constant. But the watch itself is really cool, in my opinion. Really like how it looks. It's a great integrated bracelet watch. Second runner-up is the Rolex Datejust 36. It's 36 millimeters, 12 thick, $7,550. Yeah, that's actually similar to the Explorer, isn't it? Similar price. I mean, I would go for the Explorer personally. But yeah, this is my second runner-up. Again, taking it to the mountains. It's going to be a little funny, but I suppose you could. All right, runner-up number 3 is the HC Watches HZ01, 38.5, only 9.8 thick. That is super thin. It's a beautiful one. I've really thought about getting this one. I think I might. I think this is like the rate at which the quartz crystal vibrates. I think that's what that is. 32,768 hertz. Circular date cutout. I like the tuxedo thing. It looks really cool. I think this one is sold out. They have it in other colorways. All right, let's look at the hiking vibe. Oh wait, I guess this is the hiking vibe on the leather. Yeah, the green one has a brown strap. If you want to dress it up, you can get a titanium mesh bracelet. So that's probably a good idea. Score of 86. All right, let's look at runner-up number 4, the hand heart. Yes, somebody made me aware of this. I'm sorry, I forget exactly who suggested this to me. It might have been Gallego, but yeah, hand heart preventer HD12 bracelet. So cool looking. I think this looks so much better than the Hamilton Khaki Field or even the Murph, and I actually like it better than the Longines, the Longines Spirit. Similar to all those watches, I actually like this one the best. The numerals are so nice looking, like this 9 here. It's like a spiral. The 6 as well. Very cool watch. And it looks right at home in the field as well. Classy looking watch that looks good in the field. All right, last runner up is the Sangen Kingmaker. Yeah, this is another one. When I did the GADA watch stuff, it's sort of within reach for me, so I considered it. But yeah, 39 millimeters. I went with the Traska instead, and I'm very happy with that choice. 10.5 thick. Color match date, that's looking good. Looks totally at home in the field. that's a great option. Have it pass through, and then you go to something a little fancier, you put it on the bracelet, looks good. All right, so those were the runners up. Where's my cursor? Oh, I got lost. All right, now I'm gonna do some bonus categories. Integrated bracelet. So I actually did top 10 on this. Mostly with the bonus categories, I just do top 5. But there were so many integrated bracelet watches in this GADA category that I just felt like there was room for 10. So we're gonna do 10. 10th place is the Bell & Ross BR05 Auto. It's really pretty. I really like this one. The main downside, as I said before, is just the price. It's crazy how expensive Bell & Rosses are. I don't understand why. But it's a cool looking watch if you can afford it. 9th place is the Main Manhattan. This is much more affordable. For what you get here looks-wise, I think this is pretty a good deal. It's looking way classier than the price seems to suggest. It's very, very thin, 9.3 millimeters thick. That's absurdly thin. That was my number 9. Let's go to number 8. Tissot PRX Powermatic 80. Of course, it's got to be in here. Swiss movement, all that kind of nice stuff. It's a cool watch, and I've thought about it a lot over time. It's kind of bringing the Royal Oak style to the masses. 7th place, the Citizen Zenshin. It's a good watch, for sure. It gets a really high score on my scoring system, and it's got a lot going for it. The main downside is you can't change that darn bracelet. There's just no way to do it right now. Maybe somebody will come out with like a way to do that, but not ideal. All right, 6th place is the Christopher Ward, the 12, the titanium one. Excellent watch. People definitely rave about the Christopher Ward, the 12. A lot more expensive than the PRX. It's more than double, but it's super thin. I was saying the main was really thin. This is even thinner, 9 millimeters thin. That is crazy. Color match date, looking very, very cool. Chronometer. It's a very cool watch. Christopher Ward is definitely a good brand. 5th place is the Moles Emerald Forest. And the blue one might be called something else. Maybe emerald goes with the green. I'm not sure. But yeah, there's the Moles. Very cool integrated bracelet. I like how they did this. Looks really cool. 4th place is the Marie Lacroix Acon Date. And I really thought this had a chance to be in the top 10 before I ran it, of course. It's just getting the fancy side. And most of these integrated bracelet watches, they just kind of get the fancy side. They don't really get the utilitarian side of GADA. Very heavily inspired by Audemars Piguet. This bracelet is looking very similar to the AP Royal Oak. Kind of a life preserver style bezel. 3rd place in the bronze is the Vacheron Constantin Overseas. Beautiful watch, really cool looking bracelet. Very iconic. And it got a really high score too. Very robust, 150 meters. You don't see that from these other really fancy watches. The Vacheron Constantin takes the water resistance more seriously than other brands do. 2nd place had to be the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak. I mean, some may say it should have been 1st place. This is probably the most famous integrated bracelet watch there is. So yeah, of course it's gonna be near the top. But I think the best one is the Patek Philippe Nautilus 5811. It's white gold. You know, I got that comment about Rolex is too ostentatious. Well, don't wear your Patek Philippe Nautilus then, because good grief, 78 grand. That is nuts. It's the thinnest one of all though, 8.2. That's what this watch is famous for, is just being ridiculously thin. Great design, really cool. The top 2 integrated bracelet watches were both Gerald Genta designs. I think the Nautilus is better. It's cooler than the Royal Oak. That's my opinion. All right, so those were the integrated bracelet watches. Yep, here were the bottom 5 and the top 5. Now I'll go into military Arabics. So this will just be 5 watches. 5th place, Hamilton Khaki Field Automatic. And it says 42. I think the 38 is probably a better choice, but this is the one I used in the video. Very nice looking watch. It's a great everyday watch. You can wear it in all kinds of different scenarios. All right, 4th is the Woolbrook Outrider Automatic Bracelet. I think this is a better alternative to the Hamilton Khaki Field. Maybe it's just because I like to be contrary, but I like that it's not the Hamilton. It is way thicker than the Hamilton, unfortunately, but it's a little bit cheaper. All right, what's in 3rd place? The Wasson Automatic Field Mica 6.8. I really like this brand, the Wasson brand. It's not my top though. It's really not my top in kind of anything, just their watch itself. It's a cool watch, but I'm kind of picky about the watches. It's still 3rd place for military Arabic GADA watches. That is good. All right, second place is the RZE Valor 38. And they did something excellent here with the bracelet, where it kind of looks like an integrated bracelet, but you can take this thing right off and put on a different strap. Really like the chunky lugs, the aggressive crown. Very cool watch. Like the yellow printing on the date. All right, number one military Arabic is the Circular Pro Trail on the bracelet. It's 13.4 thick, 40 millimeters, 1,169 bucks. And they have a lot of cool colors in this one. And similar to that RZE Valor, it has that integrated look, but you can swap it out. So that's cool. So there they are. Those were the military Arabic watches. And now I will go on to the top 5 minimalist watches. In 5th place, the Erebus Ascent. And I know that there's a lot of fondness for this one because of the, well, it's a cool looking watch. I think they made a really cool watch, but Jody put this together. 499 bucks, 39 across, 11 thick. Great thickness. Did a great job there. It's got the Miyota, I believe, so that aids in the thickness. I do think Miyota is superior to Seiko for that reason, because you do shave off a millimeter or two by having that Miyota. Should I have had this in minimalist? Because it does have the date. Maybe that was a mistake, but anyway, we'll keep rolling. That's the only one with the date. 4th is the Radia Trinity Black Vintage. They also make a gold one. I don't know why that's not on here. But yes, 479 bucks, 38.5 across, 12 millimeters thick. I don't think it comes on the steel mesh, but if you're going to use it as a GADA watch, I would recommend getting a steel mesh bracelet. I think it comes on a dark brown leather. I think this is much more versatile on steel mesh. All right, 3rd is the Bowcroft Element. 675 bucks, 39.5, 11.6. This color is so beautiful. I really like this. I don't know, is that aquamarine? Something like that. It's really cool. 2nd place is the About Vintage 1964 Horizon. Love the guitar pick at the top. Just cool looking watch. And yeah, that was my number 2. Number 1 minimalist GADA watch is the Grand Seiko SBGW 311. Wow, 5,900 bucks. It's a 36.5. I actually really like that size. And then 11.6 thick. So not too thick for a Seiko. They slimmed it down for this one. Bracelet is looking a little generic, but this is my top one for a minimalist watch. Minimalist GADA watch. So there they are. Those were the minimalist watches. I've got one more bonus category, and that's it. And it is top 5 with killer Lume. So the first one on this list is the Revelo Terra. And there is that beautiful Lume. I think these are the only guys that are doing the small seconds this way with little Lume marks all the way around it. That is very unusual. I can't bring to mind any other brand that does that. With the small seconds, it's rare to even get it lumed. You know, to have these markings too, that's really impressive. Really gigantic chunks of Lume. And then here's what it is in the daylight. Really cool looking watch, actually. All right, number 4 is the Atticus Icarus. And it was an omission. It wasn't in the original video series, but I put it in that omissions video. Crazy Lume. It's so good. Fully Lume chapter. Second hand is totally loomed. Looks great. As I mentioned before, it's a good alternative to a Zin 856 and 556i. It's a good alternative. Only 550 bucks. They might be sold out though. 3rd place is the Ball Engineer 3 Outlier. I mean, what can I say? It's amazing Lume. You've got tritium on the hands and indices, and then all this extra Lume on the outside. And it looks super cool in the daytime too. Really like how that looks. 2nd place is the Echo Nutra Avero 39. Just a full Lume dial. It looks amazing. And it looks good in the daytime too, with the black hands. Really like black hands on white dial. Top GADA watch with killer Lume is the Ball Engineer M Pioneer 40 millimeter. Yeah, these numerals are fully, they use tritium tubes. So always on. And then you get some conventional Lume mixed in there as well. In the daylight, here's what it looks like. It is kind of more utilitarian. The case gives it some sophistication and the counterbalance and all that sort of stuff. All right. Well, that is the end of the watch content. And now I'm going to do, as I do in all my videos, I'm going to do Bible time. First, let me play this little song here. it goes on and on, but that's a good place to stop it. All right, Bible time. So I'm not a pastor or biblical scholar. I just like sharing the Bible with people. And today's passage is from Matthew 12, verses 1 through 8. And it's the passage where the disciples ate grain from a field on the Sabbath, and they were challenged by the Pharisees. So Jesus rebuked the Pharisees for their lack of understanding of the law. So I have a three-part outline to this. I guess first, let me read the Bible passage. At that time, Jesus went through the grain fields on the Sabbath. His disciples were hungry and began to pick some heads of grain and eat them. When the Pharisees saw this, they said to him, "Look, your disciples are doing what is unlawful on the Sabbath." He answered, "Haven't you read what David did when he and his companions were hungry? He entered the house of God, and he and his companions ate the consecrated bread, which was not lawful for them to do, but only for the priests. Or haven't you read in the law that the priests on Sabbath duty in the temple desecrate the Sabbath and yet are innocent? I tell you that something greater than the temple is here." He means himself. "If you had known what these words mean," this is the main part I'm focusing on today, "I desire mercy, not sacrifice, you would not have condemned the innocent. For the Son of Man is Lord of the Sabbath." He's talking about himself, Jesus is. And yeah, he was quoting Hosea 6:6, but I'll get into that. Let's look at the outline. Okay, so I'm titling this "Mercy is Greater Than Sacrifice." Point number 1 is error of the judges. 2 is excellence of mercy. 3 is essence of the Sabbath. So we'll start off with point number 1 here. Pharisees accused the disciples of breaking the law, and then Jesus says they're innocent. So that's what he said. So first the Pharisees accuse them, then Jesus says, "You would not have condemned the innocent." So the Pharisees falsely accused the disciples. Jesus, in quoting Hosea 6:6, "I desire mercy, not sacrifice," was telling the Pharisees that they had sinned in condemning the disciples for plucking the grain. The Pharisees' religion was built on faulty principles. It was performative, strict, and legalistic. The Pharisees' interpretation of the third commandment, "Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy." Yeah, their strict interpretation said they couldn't even eat when they're hungry on the Sabbath. I'll get into that more, why the Pharisees got it wrong. I'll get into that in the subsequent points. But my first point is that according to Jesus, the Pharisees got it wrong. And when we condemn somebody else, we can also often fall into sin ourselves. And so specifically the 9th commandment, and I'll show you that. 9th commandment, "You shall not give false testimony against your neighbor." That's essentially what they were doing. 9th commandment prohibits slandering others falsely, which the Pharisees did here. An example is found in Acts 6, when Stephen is falsely accused of blasphemy and then is later martyred. So there's some other examples in the Bible as well. It's important us to have human judges to judge matters of civil and even biblical matters, but those humans really need to be on guard against accusing others falsely, because that's bad to fall into. And we need to be careful when we judge what others do too, even if we're not like a judge. Just being careful about it. So point 1 was error of the judges. Next is excellence of mercy. He explained that the Pharisees made an error in elevating the means of the law above the ends of the law. So not working on the Sabbath was the means of the law, but it was like, why did God give us that commandment? The ends, the intended effect of the law, that goes deeper. And I'll get into the ends at the end with the third point, but there's a conflict here between the means and the ends of the law. And that's what Jesus is explaining. So Hosea 6:6, which Jesus quoted in that passage, "For I desire mercy, not sacrifice, an acknowledgement of God rather than burnt offerings." And then this is a hint into Jesus' thought process in bringing this passage up. Later on it says, "Also for you, Judah, a harvest is appointed." They're harvesting the grain on the Sabbath. And Jesus is that harvest for Judah. And so, yeah, he's got a lot to teach the Pharisees, and they're not getting it. They're not listening. And on the topic of mercy, let's go to Matthew 9:13. "So while Jesus was having dinner at Matthew's house, many tax collectors and sinners came and ate with him and his disciples. When the Pharisees saw this, they asked his disciples, 'Why does your teacher eat with tax collectors and sinners?'" They thought that was almost a sin in itself, the fact that Jesus would dine with them. On hearing this, Jesus said, "It is not the healthy who need a doctor, but the sick. But go and learn what this means. I desire mercy, not sacrifice." There's Hosea 6:6 again. "For I have not come to call the righteous, but sinners." Yeah, Jesus did not come to call the righteous. And there are none that are righteous is the other part of that. So he quotes Hosea 6:6 to explain why he would have dinner with sinners. How does God know who's deserving of mercy? He looks at our heart. So here's 1 Samuel 16:7. The Lord said to Samuel, do not consider his appearance or his height. The Pharisees with their phylacteries, they appeared really, really righteous. For I have rejected him. I mean, this passage in Samuel is talking about choosing the king of Israel. The Lord does not look at the things people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. That's the important part here. That's what God looks at, as he looks at our heart. Luke 11:39, then the Lord said to him, now then, you Pharisees clean the outside of the cup and dish. You look really nice, but inside you are full of greed and wickedness. The Pharisees were clean on the outside, seeming to observe the letter of the law, but their hearts were bad, full of greed and wickedness. All right, so excellence of mercy. Mercy, I desire mercy, not sacrifice. I hope I'm quoting that correctly. All right, we're on to point number 3, essence of the Sabbath. All right, so I'm going to start with Mark 2:27. And Mark is the parallel verse of this event. So the event is they plucked the grain from the field. The Pharisees called them out. I read from Matthew before. In Mark's version, he has this as well. Then he said to them, the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. So Jesus is saying you have it flipped, Pharisees. The law is not some burden that you perform these things and it makes God happy because he just wants to make you do things. No, the law was given to us for our own personal benefit. The Sabbath was made for man. It's divine provision for our human rest and well-being. In his commentary on Matthew 12, Matthew Henry actually said, the resting on the Sabbath was ordained for man's good. And he cites Deuteronomy 5:14. No law must be understood so as to contradict its own end. That was Matthew Henry's commentary. And I'm not going to read all of Deuteronomy 5:14. That's where the third commandment comes from. And at the end of it, it says, so that your male and female servants may rest as you do. The purpose, the essence of the commandment, the third commandment, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy, is so that you may rest. That's the point. That's what God is looking for. And our weekend reflects this biblical directive, the weekend that we have. God wants us to rest. Okay, going back to that Matthew passage again. I'm not going to read this again, but Jesus specifically cited the example of David eating the showbread. They call it consecrated bread here. And priests having to do things on the Sabbath to perform their duties that technically could be considered work. And in both situations, they weren't breaking the third commandment, even though it appears that they were. They're not breaking the law of God because they're doing God's will. I like what Matthew Poole said as well, so I'll read Matthew Poole's commentary. Where two laws in respect of some circumstance seem to clash with one with the other, so as we cannot obey both, our obedience is due to that which is the more excellent law. Now saith our Savior, the law of mercy is the more excellent law. God prefers it before sacrifice. And he goes on, but I'll stop it there. What is the practical result of all this? Can I make a sandwich on the Sabbath? Is that allowed? I think this passage, Matthew, shows that yes, I can make a sandwich on the Sabbath. That's okay. So we've got our outline here. And the points I raised are, number 1, be careful when judging others so as not to accuse them falsely. It's really important to have your facts straight before you start accusing others of things. Number 2, excellence of mercy. Mercy is the foundational principle. And that principle is greater than the actual sacrifice. And then point number 3, the essence of the Sabbath is that it was made for man and not man made for the Sabbath. God gave us the commandment so we would rest. That's the point of it. That's all I have. If you want better biblical analysis, I've linked some YouTube pastors in the description. All right, now for a prayer. Lord, thank you for this time talking about your word. Pray that it would bless all those who would hear it, and pray that you would help us all to understand what the Sabbath means in our lives, how that we can serve you faithfully and rest as you command us to do. And I thank you for your law, which was made for our benefit, not to be a burden, but to make our lives better. I pray that you would reveal that in our lives. Pray all this in Jesus' name. Amen. Now may the Lord of peace himself give you peace always and in every way. The Lord be with you all. See you next time.